In this video, we're going to learn how to find the area of complex polygons like this, this, and this. So, how do we find the area of these polygons? Well, first thing you're going to do is break the polygon down into recognizable shapes, like squares, rectangles, parallelograms, triangles, and trapezoids. Then we need to find the area of these shapes. Now, don't even attempt to do these problems, these complex problems, unless you're comfortable finding the area of squares, rectangles, parallelograms, triangles, and trapezoids. You're going to need to know the formulas or at least have a place where you can check them. Finally, you're going to add or subtract the area of these shapes. In all of our examples for this video, we're going to just add the shapes up. We're not going to have to do any subtraction, but you may run into some problems later where subtraction might be easier. Before we start on any of the examples, let's go ahead and review how to find the area of these shapes. The area of a square can be found by multiplying base times height, or if you just multiply base times itself, because the base and height are the same thing. So that's how you find the area of a square. The area of a rectangle is base times height. The area of a parallelogram is also base times height, but in this case, the height of a parallelogram is not the diagonal length. It's the length from one base to the other, and it forms a 90-degree angle. Area of a triangle is half the base times the height, or the way I'm typically going to write it, which is base times height divided by 2. And finally, our trapezoid is half the base, the first base plus the second base times the height. The way I'm typically going to present it is base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Let's go ahead and start our first example. We need to find the area of this figure below. Now this figure looks like it's composed of two different rectangles. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the area of this blue rectangle, and I'm going to add it to the area of this orange rectangle, and that's going to give me the area of the whole figure. So let's fill out the information we know. First, we do know that area of a rectangle is base times height, so I am going to write the formula first. And then I'm going to fill in the information I know. The base is 5, and you may be wondering, wait a minute, but 5 is the top. How do you know what's the bottom? Well, remember with a rectangle, the opposite sides are going to be the same, or they're congruent. So if it's 5 on the top, it's going to be 5 inches on the bottom as well. So if it's 6 inches on the left, it's also going to be 6 inches on the right. So we're going to fill that out for the height. So base times height is going to be 5 times 6, which equals 30. Next, we need to find the area of our orange rectangle. Let's fill in the information we know. Area of a rectangle is base times height. The base is 13, and the height is 9. So 13 times 9 is 117. Now we know the area of the blue rectangle and the orange rectangle. In order to find the area of the whole polygon, we're going to add up those two numbers, 30 plus 117, and that equals 147 inches squared. That's our final answer. Let's try another example. Now, if you'd like to, you can pause the video and try to figure out what shapes this is made up of. I'm going to break this down into 3 shapes. I see a triangle at the top, a rectangle in the middle, and a parallelogram on the bottom. And I'm going to add these shapes up, the triangle plus the rectangle plus the parallelogram. Let's fill out the information we know. I know the area of a triangle can be found with base times height divided by 2. I know the base is 7, so I'm going to write that over here. I know the height is 4, so I'm going to write that over there. So base times height is 7 times 4. You're going to divide that by 2. 7 times 4 is 28. Divided by 2 is 14. So the area of my triangle is 14. My rectangle in the middle, the base is going to be 7 yards, and the height is 7 yards. So base times height is 7 times 7, which equals 49. And finally, my parallelogram, the formula is base times height as well. The base seems to be 7 yards, and my height is 3 yards. So 7 times 3, which equals 21. In order to find the area of this figure, I'm going to add up the triangle and the orange rectangle and the green parallelogram. So 14 plus 49 plus 21. So 14 plus 49 is 63. If I add 21 to that, I'm going to get 84 yards squared. And that's our final answer. Finally, our third and last example, we're going to find the area of this. Again, if you'd like to pause and see and figure out which shapes you can see here, you can do that. What I'm going to do is break this down into a triangle at the top, which I've shaded as blue, a rectangle in the middle, which I've shaded orange, and a trapezoid, which I've shaded green at the bottom. So to find the area of this polygon, I'm going to add up the triangle and the rectangle and the trapezoid. Let's fill in the information I know. Area of a triangle can be found with base times height divided by 2. The base of this triangle looks like it's missing, but it can be found down there because remember, this is a rectangle over here. So if this is 15 centimeters over here, then this is also going to be 15 centimeters. So 15, my height is clearly stated, it's 9 centimeters. So 15 times 9, that's the base and that's the height, divided by 2. 15 times 9 is 135, divided by 2 is 67.5. Next is going to be my rectangle. The formula is base times height. My base is 15. My height is 4. So base times height is going to be 15 times 4, and that equals 60. Finally, my trapezoid, the most complex of the formulas, base 1 plus base 2 times the height divided by 2. Base 1 and base 2. Well, the top base is 15, the bottom base is 18, so we're going to fill that out. My height is the next thing I need to know, which is 4 centimeters. It says so right there. So let's fill out our equation. 15 plus 8 times 4. First thing we need to do is add 15 and 8, which is 33. Now we can multiply 33 and 4, which is 132. And now we divide 132 divided by 2, which equals 66. So I'm adding the shapes, the blue, the orange, and the green shapes together, and that's going to be 67.5 plus 60 plus 66. If I add those two, that's 127.5. Then I add up my third number, I should get 193.5 centimeters squared, and that's my final answer. Now you know how to find the area of complex polygons.